ride in a second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, bowed the knees, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, look at it. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. Now, is that power? Is that authority? No man lift up his foot without you. Verse 45. Verse 45. Now, in this verse, 45, he said, and Pharaoh called Joseph's name, and here's Joseph's name that Pharaoh gave him. Y'all ready for it? Somebody else want to call Joseph's name? Oh, anybody else want to call his name? Y'all was whispering. Zap, here it is. Zap, Fat, Pa-a-Nia. Zap, Z-A, here's how they break it down. Z-A-F-N-A-T-H. Zap, Nash, dash, P-A, Pa, dash, A, dash, N-E, dash, A-H. Zap, Nap, Pa-a-Nia, which mean prince of the life of the age. You're the prince of the life for this age. Wow. What a name. And he gave him to wife a sinner, the daughter of Potipharus. That was another richest person, some of the richest people that lived in Egypt. Now Pharaoh gave him this. The man didn't have to give his own daughter, but Pharaoh gave him his daughter. Now, the priest of Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. And Joseph was 30 years old. I told you that, right? 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh, and he went through all the land of Egypt. And in the plenteous years, the earth brought forth by handful. And he gathered up all the food and the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities, and the food of the field which was round about every city laid up he up in the same. Now look at this business strategy. He laid the corn up in the cities. He didn't happen to bring everything to the capital. But he laid it up so when the famine come, the peoples of Egypt wouldn't have to go far to be fed, to get the corn. They had to buy the corn. Now remember, they gave the corn away. This is a smart businessman. He brought it up to 25% they had to give. But when the famine come, they had to buy the corn. Because if he'd have gave them back the corn that they gave him, then they wouldn't have been able to have money. The king wouldn't have had money to run the government. Right. So he charged them for the corn when the 7 years was up. And so this is oh my God, Joseph. Do you see the business, how he taking care of business? And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much until the left numbers, for it was without numbers. And Joseph was born to son before the year of the famine came. And Asir, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of his first son Manasseh. What do Manasseh mean? One who causes to forget. Manasseh, one who causes to forget. And you'll see that later with what happened. One who causes to forget. And the second son, he called his name what? Ephraim. And Ephraim means what? Fruitful. So he got one that causes folks to forget and another one that's fruitful in the land of affliction. And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt was ended. And the 7 years of drought or dreary, began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the drought, dreary if you want to say it, but I said, I would just call it what it is, drought, was in the land, all the land, but in all the land of Egypt, there was what? Bread. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all Egyptians, go unto Joseph, what he says to you, do it. What did he send him to? To Joseph. And said, whatever Joseph say, what? You do it. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptian, and the famine waxed sore in all the land of Egypt. And all the countries came to Egypt, to Joseph, to buy corn, because that the famine was sore in all the land. In all the land. One man that gave himself to God, paid the price. 3-4 P's got him to where he wanted to be. When he landed on the last P, that was his last time that he was in poverty. The first P was in the pit. The second P was in Potiphar's house. The third P was in prison. And the fourth P was in the palace. How would you like to go from a prison to palace? And then you're put over everything. And everybody got to bow down to you. Simply because he paid the price. A lot of times we're wondering why that we are not where God wants us to be. You didn't pay the price. You didn't pay the price. There's a price for success. There's nobody that's success unless there was a person that paid the price. Somewhere down the line, somebody had to pay the piper. I'll let you ask questions later. If you had some, note them down. Let's look at chapter 42. Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his son, why do ye look one upon another? And he said, behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get ye down thither, and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brothers went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, lest peradventure mischief filled him. Here's the thing that lets you know the Spirit of God is real. Jacob always knew that his brothers, his sons, had something to do with Joseph's alleged death. And now in this verse, you can put it together. Because Joseph said, I'm not going to let my Benjamin let him go. Because I don't trust you all. And I'm not going to let him go. He sent the 10. And he kept the baby at home with him. Remember what I told you a while ago? What did I say to you a while ago? Read between the lines. And that's why that if you cook a good cake and somebody eat it all up except the crumbs, don't be afraid to eat the crumbs. Because everything was in the cake is in the crumbs. So you're not being left out, you're just not getting your fair portion. So do you understand that? So Jacob never forgot that. He didn't forget that he always knew that his son had something to do with that. So he said, I'm not going to do it. Now, verse number 6. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and it was he that sold to all the peoples of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their face to the ground. Did Joseph tell them they're going to do that? They bowed down to him with their face to the ground. Here's the thing. Watch this. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself a stranger unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence cometh ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan, to buy food. And Joseph knew his brothers, but they knew him not. And Joseph remembered the dream which he had dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies, to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said unto him, Nay, my Lord. They called him my Lord. But to buy, the last time they called him, here come this what? Here come this what? Snitch. They said in a way of snitch. Here come this what? Now he's Lord. Isn't that a big jump? Here come this dreamer. And they said unto him, Nay, my Lord, but to buy food have thou servant come. We are all one man's son. We are true men, thou servants are no spies. And he said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said, Thou servants are 12 brothers, the son of one man, in the land of Canaan. And behold, the younger is this day with our father, and one is not. Who was the one that was not? Joseph. What is Joseph doing? He's interrogating them. Okay, I want y'all to see something else when I tell you to read between the line. And read between the line. Why do you think that Joseph made himself available to wherever the coin was being given out? He had to be there before it could be given out. He knew that his brothers had to come, and he wanted to be there to make sure he was there whenever they came. Look at somebody and say, start reading between the lines. Yes.
Pastor, you said just a minute ago, you said, why was Joseph questioning them?
Mm-hmm.
And in this Bible it says he was getting the information.
Right. He was interrogating, cross-examining them. Right. See, they told him what he wanted to know. He said, one is missing. That was him. All right. He wanted also to know, as we go on, he wanted to know when they told him, look, watch this. When they told him that their father was still living, and with the end of that, he knew now that his baby brother was living, and his daddy was still living. He's 13 years removed. He was 17 years old when they sold him. 3 years in Potiphar's house, 7 years in prison, 8 years in prison, and now he's 30 years old. 30 years old. Now, one thing you never forget. Okay, and I'll start taking some questions afterward. But one thing you don't forget. The feet that kicks you and the hand that feeds you. Okay, all right. Look at somebody and tell them to read between the lines. You don't forget that. And so Joseph didn't forget. They forgot. They didn't know him, but Joseph knew them. And he was cross-examining them. So now Joseph knows his father is living. He knows that his baby brother is living. Now, but he had to get through it a different way. And Joseph said unto them, That is it, that I spake unto you, saying, Ye are spies. Hereby ye shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh, ye shall not go forth hence, except your younger brother come hither. Send one of you and let him fetch your brother. Now, is this smart or not? Now, send one of you and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your word may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh surely ye are spies. And he put them all together into a ward 3 days. And Joseph said unto them the third day, this do, and live, for I fear God. If ye, now notice he told them, I fear God. They thinking that Joseph was an Egyptian. Now, if he had been, now, do you understand, if you stay a long time with folks, you start looking like them? Y'all see how much my wife and I favor? 52 years, 53 years, and we just started looking like each other. Okay, now, Joseph had blended in so that he looked like them. And they didn't know, they had no idea that he was a Hebrew, but he told them, I believe in God. I fear God. Now, that should have gave them what? Some trust. All right, what verse I was on? Verse 19. If ye be true men, let one of your brothers be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn for the famine of your house, but bring your younger brother unto me. So shall your word be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. And they said one to another, we are very guilty concerning our brother, in which we saw the anguish of his soul when we besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us. And Reuben answered. They didn't know Joseph could understand them. They were speaking in Hebrew. But Joseph spoke to them in Egyptian. And so they thought that he didn't know what they were saying. And Reuben answered them and said, spake I not unto you, saying, do not sin against the child, and you will not hear. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by what? An interpreter. And he turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simeon, and bound him before his eye. Why did he take Simeon? Because he knew Simeon was a mean streak. Remember, it was Simeon and Levi that got all those men and circumcised and then killed them. So he knew that he had that mean streak in him. And so he said, I'm going to keep him because he might, do something else. All right. Then Joseph commanded to fill their sacks with corn, add to, and to restore every man money into this sack, and to give them provision for the way. And thus did he unto them. And they laden their asses, they loaded them with corn and departed. And as one of them spent his sack, he took it and poured it out to give his ass providence. He was taking out the corn. In the end, he spied his money, for behold, it was in the sack mouth. And he said unto his brethren, my money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their hearts failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, what is this that God has done unto us? And it came to pass, and they came unto Jacob, their father, in the land of Canaan, and he told him all that befell them, saying, this man who is the Lord of the land spake roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. And he said unto him, we are true men. We are no spies. Now that was a lie. They wasn't true men. We be 12 brethren, son of our father. One is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the Lord of the country, said unto us, Hereby shall I know that ye are true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your household, and be gone. And bring your youngest brother unto me, then shall I know that ye are no spies, but ye are true men. So will I deliver you your brother, and ye shall traffic in the land. Go and come. And it came to pass, as they emptied their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they was afraid. And Jacob their father said unto them, Me have ye bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and ye will not take Benjamin away. All these things are against me. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, Slay me, my two sons, if I bring him not to thee. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. And he said, My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he still left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in which ye go, then shall ye bring down my gray hair with sorrow to the grave. So Jacob was not convinced to let his baby son go. And we'll see the rest of the story in chapter 43 and 44 next week. Now, I'll open up for questions. And, all right, who got the mic here? Give me the mic, Percy. All right. There's a hand there with a deal. Anybody learn anything out of Genesis?
Pastor, how did Joseph know he had a little brother? I didn't see that.
How did what?
Joseph know he had Benjamin. I mean, as a younger brother.
Because Joseph was there when he was born.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he was.
Joseph was born first, and his name was Friendly. And you remember that Rachel was with child. It was hard. And she named him Benaniah, son of my sorrow, because she was dying.
Okay.
And Jacob said, no, he's going to be Benjamin, son of my right hand.
Okay.
Behind you? Oh, did you have your hand up? Okay. Anybody else? Well, won't that be nice? If I explained it that well, there are no questions. Oh, there's one. Brother Armstead.
Pastor, when Pharaoh's restored Joseph and put the ring on him and the robe on him, was that a typical type of Christ?
There was a sentence that says, you are forever my son. You have all the rights that I have. The robe said that this is the robe of authority. It was a silk robe, linen. Only people in authority with the king could wear those robes. He made Joseph second in command. Second in command.
Yes, the question was this a type of Christ?
Oh, that's what you said, was he a type of Christ? Yes. Anybody else? If I'm going to get by, Anthony, you're not going to answer no question tonight. If I'm going to get by, you're not going to answer a question.
Oh my God! I was gonna remain silent, but being that my pastor asked me, I love the Bible and I love everything that's God's. It's God's words to humanity. But I want to. I'm not. How do I put this? I should not do this because. In these areas of faith and my instruction in college, you're not if you hear your pastor say something that is not quite what it should be, you're supposed to keep silent. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Well, I'm
But
going to
that's why I
keep
said,
silent.
remember what I said? Read between the lines.
Yes.
That means that I didn't get it out of the scripture, but in reading between the lines, the Lord showed me a lot of stuff that he couldn't put it all in there.
Amen.
And then I go back to, in Luke said, if there was a book of the world, of all the things that Jesus
Yes.
did, it couldn't contain it.
You couldn't continue.
So all I'm doing is
miracles.
reading out what they didn't tell us.
Well, the only reason why I mentioned this is because you said that Potiphar spoke well of Joseph, and that's why he had favor in prison.
That Potiphar did what?
That Potiphar spoke well of Joseph, and that's why he had favor in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in chapter 37, when Joseph's in prison, it says, "But it was the Lord that was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison."
Right. So you can understand if he had favor, that Pharaoh had to speak to those people that when he put him in prison about Joseph, give a history on Joseph, because people may not know you, and they would have said to Joseph, if Pharaoh thought Joseph did that, he'd have had him killed, but he didn't have him killed because the favor of God was on him.
Always.
That's right.
Always.
And so favor was on him that they got him out of the pit. I told you it was 4 P's. Out of the pit, the favor of God brought him out of there. With favor, God put him in Potiphar's house to learn business.
Yes.
And he put him over everything he had.
And no matter what he was over, his hand prospered.
He prospered. And if God give you favor, and all of us have favor, you just got to plug into your favor. You got to plug into it. You got to find out what is it that God really is saying to me. And every trial you go through, ask God, not why you're in it, but God, what am I supposed to learn from this? What am I supposed to gather from this? Not why it's happening to me, but God, what lesson are you trying to teach me? What are you trying to teach me? And when you learn that, that's your purpose. And your purpose is going to make room for you. And so here Joseph never thought when he told his brother the dream that he was going to have to go through all of that for reality to take place. But the dream was much bigger than him. That's why I got the sermon from 20-some years ago or 30 years ago. Dream a dream that's bigger than you. Because if you dream a dream and you can do it yourself, you don't need God. But if you dream a dream and you don't know how in the world you're going to get the money, how you're going to get there, how you're going to ever be able to manage that, that's the one that God give you. God give you a dream that caused you to ponder in your mind, how in the world can I do this? God, you know I don't have this. Yes.
Pastor, if you have a dream and you want to see it fulfilled, but you cannot do it by yourself, do you go to your ministry first?
Wait a minute. Watch this. The dream that Joseph did, he couldn't do it by himself. He dreamed it. He couldn't do it by himself. Pharaoh was there. Pharaoh was the one that put him in charge so he could have the men to go and give the men the order of what to do. So God always brings somebody into your ministry to help you. You can't do it by yourself. We are all fitly joined together.
Yes.
So we can help turn, and every gift that God gives us is not for us, but it's for the ministry.
Well, my dream's going to start here, Pastor. My dream's going to start here.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Thank God for you all. Give yourselves a hand.
Amen.
All right. It is tithe and offering time.
Amen.
I said it's tithe and offering time. And if someone is peradventure sharing tithes tonight, you may stand.